In Pit Lane, proudly brought to you by Online Invent, websites, digital marketing and custom software.
Hello everybody and welcome to another edition of In Pit Lane here on Channel 31 Melbourne, or you may be watching us on demand on the In Pit Lane YouTube channel. Well, first of all, may I start the program by saying congratulations and thank you to the artists formerly known as the South Melbourne Football Club, who managed to sort of free up next weekend for the important thing for us Collingwood fans, and that is of course the grand final, the real grand final, which is happening this weekend at Phillip Island. It's the Victorian State Championship and the Victorian State Sports Sedan Championship, and joining us tonight will be the man who's currently leading that championship. John Ippolito will be joining us a little bit later on in the program. Also, we've got some great live music coming up on the program as well, so stay tuned for that. But also, once again, busy weekend of motorsport. We don't have a lot of time, but I do have time to say welcome to my co-host, Craig Doc Latigo. Doc, welcome back.
Good evening, Brett. Good evening, viewers. Thanks, Batman. We usually do the partner in crime stuff, but as you said, shorter time. It's a full send tonight.
It certainly is. We've had to sort of rewrite things very much at the last minute because the news changes constantly, but we're going to catch up now with what has been happening. Well, first of all, locally around Australia, this is the In Pit Lane Motorsport News.
Melbourne's weather caused chaos with last weekend's Australian Motorsport Championship at Sandown. Several races on Saturday had to be cancelled, but there was some action on track despite the appalling conditions.
A win in race 3 saw Will Brown take out the weekend in TCR after 3 wild races. Brown beat the consistent Jordan Cox and Tony D'Alberto. Fastest qualifier Aaron Cameron won race 1 but failed to pick up any further points, while Ben Bargwanna broke through for a win in the reverse grid's second race. Adam Bressington and Ryan Hansford shared the honours in the Touring Car Masters. Bressington took out the overall points for the weekend after a thrilling race 2, taking the checkered flag just 0.02 of a second ahead of John Bowe in the closest TCM finish ever. Race 3 ended early and it was Hansford's Tirana that took the win over Bressington and the Falcon of Andrew Fisher. Garth and Yasser Shahin won the final race in round 3 of the GT World Challenge Australia. In a thrilling finish, Shahin took the checkered flag after only leading for 3 corners from Liam Talbot, Fraser Ross and Prince Jeffrey Ibrahim and Shane Van Gisbergen. Van Gisbergen made the save of the race off the start, and a spin from David Reynolds and Paul Stokel saw the race red flagged. When the race restarted, it was the AM drivers behind the wheel after a quick round of pit stops. Prince Jeffrey Ibrahim led early before Tony Bates took the lead, but when he went off on the last lap, it was Shahin who came through for the win ahead of Liam Talbot and Ibrahim. And Nathan Hearn claimed his second consecutive National Trans Am Series title with a race win and second place finish. The decision to swap wet tyres in race 2 paid dividends as Hearn charged through the field after a pit lane start to win by 5 seconds ahead of his main title rival Owen Kelly. Kelly won the weekend's second race, but a cautious second place to Hearn was enough to wrap up the series.
Victorian Formula V driver Reef McCarthy will make his Super 2 debut at Mount Panorama next month. McCarthy will sub for regular driver Jalen Robotham, who will be concentrating on his wildcard drive in the Bathurst 1000. McCarthy will test at Winton next Tuesday, but will also be in action in his regular drive this weekend at the Victorian State Championships final at Phillip Island. And Jalen Robotham will be our special guest next week here on In Pit Lane.
The weather was also on everyone's mind last weekend in Tasmania, as almost 300 competitors gathered for the annual Baskerville Historic. Despite the threatening skies, most races were held in the dry conditions in front of a large and appreciative local crowd.
Kevin Bartlett once described this compact 2-kilometre track a bit over half an hour from Hobart as a mini Mount Panorama. And after attending last weekend's Baskerville Historic, I can't help but agree. A large crowd braved the elements and were rewarded with some great racing and wonderful motorsport memories. The Group A and C Heritage Touring cars were the featured attraction at this year's Baskerville Historic, and the races were, somewhat predictably, dominated by the brutal Nissan GTR of Tony Alford. But Bill Cutler put in a great drive in the BMW M3 to make a contest of it in a car ideally suited to the tight confines of the track. Terry Layla was the first of the Group C cars home in third place in the ex-Bob Morris Charlie O'Brien XD Falcon. Charlie was present at the event to surprise his former Bathurst co-driver Garth Wigston, who was the event patron.
Probably the best circuit in my mind in Australia would have to be Bathurst without a shadow of a doubt. Secondly would be Phillip Island, and third would be Baskerville.
I've only raced here once, and it was a long time ago. But certainly, I agree, Phillip Island and Bathurst is a toss-up in my mind, which is my favourite. But Baskerville is certainly any track that's it's got hills and corners, blind corners and stuff. It makes it interesting, as opposed to the flat sort of circuits that the crowd can see. The whole great for the crowd, but in particularly here, it's good for the crowd because they're sitting up on hills.
The feature race also saw the most dramatic incident of the weekend as Chris Rose pulled his Group C Commodore off the track at the start of the main straight. Chris left the car safely, but seconds later it burst into flames. Officials were quickly on hand, but the car was still badly damaged. Another highlight of the event was the reunion of local motorsport legend Johnny Walker with the ex-Neil Allen Elfin ME5. Walker was recently inducted into the Tasmanian Motorsport Hall of Fame, and it's an honour that clearly means a great deal to him.
It meant a lot to me. Excuse me. It meant the holy grail of motorsport for me in Tasmania. To be recognised by your peers in motorsport, and I've been doing it for so long, as a driver. Then I went with my own Formula Ford team. I've worked on many touring car teams. I've worked cricket in touring car masters, Adam Garwood in touring car masters, and just to get to the top and get recognised, it was amazing. It was just a big buzz.
As the most southerly circuit in Australia, Baskerville may not be the cheapest or easiest to get to, but judging by what we saw on the weekend, trust me, it's an effort well worth making.
Recent guest on In Pit Lane, Valentino Astuti, has surged back into contention for this year's Australian Formula Ford Championship after an outright win at the Bend in South Australia. Astuti has now moved to within 11 points of series leader Jimmy Piszak, with 3 races remaining at Sydney Motorsport Park.
We'll have more news on the international front later in the show, but when we come back, we will be joined by our special guest, John Ippolito, current leader of the Victorian Sports Sedan Championship going into this weekend's final at Phillip Island. You're watching In Pit Lane on Channel 31 and on demand with bonus content on the In Pit Lane YouTube channel. Don't go away, we'll be right back.
Get the phone ringing for your business with website development and SEO services from Online Invent. Visit onlineinvent.com.au.
Yes, once again, it's our opportunity to say a huge thank you to our program sponsor, and that is Online Invent. They have managed to keep us on air, to bring us back for a second series in 2022. As I've said on many, many occasions in the past, even though this is obviously an all-volunteer event, there are expenses involved. There's a lot of expenses involved, a lot of equipment that we take out to the track. We got some of our equipment on the weekend at Baskerville got very seriously rained on, and I'm not sure that at least one of the cameras survived. But we'll
refurbishment.
Yes, in for major refurbishment, I'm afraid. So that's one of the reasons we do need sponsors on programs here on RMITV and Channel 31, and we're really lucky to have Roy and the team at Online Invent.
Oh, brilliant.
As we've said before, if you have any interest at all in having effective online marketing and online presence on Facebook, on the web, then talk to Online Invent, and they'll be able to help you out. So once again, we say thank you to Online Invent for their support of In Pit Lane, RMITV, and Channel 31 Melbourne. Well, I think we're almost, whenever they're ready in the control room, I think we're ready to go, because my voice is absolutely cranking.
while they're setting up, and I can hear in the background there, you had an amazing weekend down at Baskerville, down in Tasmania, Brett.
It was
you and Jason?
Yeah, me and Jason, who's on EVS at the moment, we went down on Friday. It's been, the reason I have no voice, we've had 3 very, very, very long days.
It hasn't been drinking too much.
No.
Drinking the rain.
I must admit, the only drink I did have, I had a very, very nice local gin on the way out at the airport. Very nice.
You didn't tell us that secret.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, the quality of the produce down at Tasmania is fantastic. The quality, as I said, of that racetrack.
Yep.
Absolutely brilliant. If you haven't been, if you're a racing driver and you haven't raced at Baskerville, you are missing out on an absolute treat. It is a real, put it on the bucket list. You really have to get down there.
It's that good. You dubbed it a little post that you put up for In Pit Lane, mini Mount Panorama.
Well, that was not me. That was Kevin Bartlett.
Oh, you just passed it on.
The great Kevin Bartlett said that he said to Garth Wigston. It was Garth who told us that.
Right.
That years ago when Kevin Bartlett went down, he said, "How long?" He said, what a secret this is." He said, "This is like a mini Mount Panorama. It's only they cram more into 2 kilometres. It's 2.1 kilometres."
Right.
And they cram more challenges, more on and off camera. There's bank corners, there's blind corners, there's uphill, and once again a similar to Mount,
I bet you there's camber too,
a similar to Mount Panorama. The pictures and the television just don't do it justice. It's a lot steeper. Oh, massive undulation. It's a beautiful area as well. It's fabulous. So yeah, if you can. This is the problem. It's just, and we are going to have a special on Baskerville coming up, but everybody was down there was just saying it is unfortunately for people in Tassie, and I understand now you hear them complaining all and it's like, I think, oh God, what? But I understand now because it's just so expensive to get. It's like $600 to get a car down, but if you put a trailer behind that car and put another car on it,
and drive to Geelong now,
it will cost you about $4,000 to $5,000 just to get, and that's one way. So it's crazy. So it does cost a lot of money, but everybody who went down absolutely loved it, and most of them are coming back. And there was one competitor came all the way from Perth. There was also a competitor there who said, basically, he said, I run 1 meeting a year now. He's from New South Wales. He said, the car stays in the garage, and once a year I come down and I do this.
That crowd on the hill told the story, I reckon.
Huge crowd. I mean, and the weather was not good. Yep. It was very cold and very wet for most of the time, and yet they still had a massive crowd.
You were dancing in the rain, I saw, anyway.
I was dancing in the rain. It's better than me singing in the rain, especially with this voice at the moment. Welcome back to In Pit Lane. We're coming up this weekend down at Phillip Island. It is the Victorian State Circuit Racing Championships, and part of that is, of course, the Victorian Sports Sedan Championship. And it's a real sort of epic sports sedan battle between sort of one of the high-tech, a space frame, mid-engined sports sedan supercars, and something that's a little more standard, a little more floor-plan car. We'll find out more about that from our guest tonight, the man who's currently leading the championship, a very narrow lead, and that's John Ippolito. John, welcome to In Pit Lane.
Thanks, Brett. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Now let's talk about this. Let's talk about this weekend. What's the situation with the points at the moment? It's pretty tight at the top, isn't it?
Yeah, it's close. It's I wish it was a lot further than what it is, but yeah, it's very close. But being a floor pan car and doing what we do, it's good to be out in the front.
So tell us, explain for people who aren't sure, the floor pan car. I mean, that's one of the beauties of sports sedans is there's so much variety. What's the difference between your car and some of the cars that you're running against?
My car was a club sport when I bought it. It was a HSV club sport, and I started doing sprints with it. And then in time, I started building it up, and got it to a stage where I wanted to go serious racing, and that's where I thought sports sedan was a class for me.
What did you have to change to get it to that point, though, from where it originally was as a HSV club sport?
First, I had to strip the car and take everything out of it, and then I had to cage it. I thought about safety first, and then from then on, a bit more power, and then a bit of handling, and start taking some weight out of the car, and bigger engine, and blew a few up. And
talk to people and get some more research, and what can I do, try all these things, so and within regulation, of course.
Yeah, well, in the HSV club, it was kind of like open,
yeah.
And then we just, because there were so many of us, we just kept trying to beat each other and trying to get our cars more competitive. And in the end, it was just a bit out of control, and it just went away from the club sort of racing. It was more competitive, and it just got out of hand really, and it was I had to go the next step.
I was going to say, you got to bite the bullet, don't you?
Correct.
And that is one of the beauties of sports. Dan. That's a classic story. I mean, probably the most famous was Don Bonica years ago. Started out as an improved production car, and then got a little bit more modified and a little bit more modified until the end. It was this incredibly radical sports sedan, which was years ahead of its time. Yep. I mean, in terms of your duties for the weekend, I mean, what do you need to do to win this championship?
Pretty much just finish, and finish up as high as I can. Like being a floor pan car, I'm not the quickest car out there, but it's been reliable, and I've been, at the pointy end.
So is that what sort of got you into this position now? Is that consistency?
Pretty much, yeah, pretty much. Like it's just finishing every race and as high as I can and staying on the track. So the car's been reliable, and it's not the quickest car out there, but it's a reliable one.
Seeing the consistency you're just talking about, is that, well, I see the cars on the dyno a lot. Is that part of you've got a set routine that you have to do to maintenance-wise after every race and after a certain amount of Ks or any laps you've done to make sure you keep that car on the track?
Yeah, well, I do all the maintenance myself, and
right.
It's always trying to keep things updated. And if I think it's getting a bit old, then I'll renew it, and just trying to keep the thing just moving along and keeping it up to date and as new as I can. So yeah, it's a challenge, but I'll do it all myself, and with a lot of help from a lot of people that I have around me. It's been good.
Something breaks, it's your fault.
Yeah, well, that's right. Yeah, no one else to blame but myself. So yeah, so far so good.
Things do happen. You can't help
that's
that.
correct. I've been around motorsport long enough to know that you take the good times when they're up there, and when you get the bad times, you just got to roll with them.
Good on you, John.
So in sort of the power that you've got out of that car now, I mean, what is the engine in there, and what sort of power are you putting out?
It's an LS-based engine, and we got roughly 705 horsepower at the flywheel.
That's pretty impressive.
At the flywheel, but it's a heavy car.
And not big diff? What's the diff in it?
It's a 9-inch.
Yeah.
It's a 9-inch, but it's a heavy car, which it's a bit of a difference having a heavy car.
Yeah.
Would you like to move that next? I mean, having seen that you've got such a powerful engine and obviously a reliable engine, is there any thought about looking at moving into a space frame car at some stage?
Yeah, it just comes down to cost pretty much. Like we're a small budget team, we're a small team, and pretty much I do whatever I can myself, and it's just getting help from other people that keep me in the sport sort of thing. So it's a very expensive sport, as we all know, and I try and do the best I can with what I've got.
What about the help you get from other members of the Victorian Sports Sedan Association? I mean, we're celebrating 50 years of Sports Sedan this year, and I know they had a big dinner just recently, looking back on the history of the category. What sort of what sort of a group are they in terms of? You get a lot of help. Is there a lot of sort of communication and assistance between them, or is it absolutely cutthroat, brutal, and at all cost?
Yeah, when you need help, they're always there to help you. But at the same time, we're all competitive. We all want to beat each other. But it's a good class to be in. Like as a floor pan car, it's like grassroots racing for the beginners. But once you get in there, it's competitive. And if you need help, they'll help you.
So within the floor pan class, I mean, who are your main competitors? Who are the people you want to beat?
It's mainly Greg Lynch from the HSV club that we raced years and years ago with. And a couple other guys that, they're not quite there, but they're getting there. But my main rival's, Greg Lynch.
I'm going to give you a quick handball here. I did see there a couple of years ago, you did actually help out the Jack Daniels car with some of your parts anyway, didn't you, as well? Yeah, I think you might have helped them out one weekend there.
I helped him out, I helped a mate of mine out, Alan Nash.
So they do help each other out, Red, a little bit. So, he's going to say it's on camera now, it's on record.
Yeah, no, we're all, the guys in the HSV club, there's a few of us now. There's myself, Greg, Francois. We all kind of we're all bunched together, and we all try and help each other out, and we're all mates off the track. And when we're on the track, it's a bit different. But
I was going to say, yep.
We all try and beat each other.
White line fever.
But we're all fair, and we play fair. It's good.
Now, this is coming up this weekend, of course, is the final round of the Victorian State Championship. But there's coming up later on in the year, there's Island Magic. I mean, what's your plans for the rest of this year? I mean, after hopefully you wrap up the title this weekend, what are your plans for the rest of the year?
Yeah, well, this weekend is our 4th round, and actually our 5th round is at the Island Magic. We don't wrap up our championship this week. We go into the Island Magic round.
That's the club championship.
No, that's a state championship for us for the sports.
Right. And counts for points as well too.
Because we ran the last round at Sandown.
Of course,
we hosted the round, so we went there as a class. So our last round, being the 5th, is in November.
Does that disappoint you at all? I've always thought, I mean, the sports sedan guys get a bit of a rough deal. I mean, with having to run that season, you miss out on another opportunity to race at Sandown. Now, judging by the conditions on the weekend, you wouldn't have wanted to be out there anyway, and certainly the so-called hot dog round. I mean, the conditions are usually pretty bad there as well. But do you miss that opportunity, or would you like to have the opportunity of actually running around at Sandown as well, an extra round?
Yeah, look, Sandown's my home track. I've done a lot of laps around there, and I don't mind the wet, so it would have been good for me to have a run in the wet last weekend. I don't mind the wet at all. But it would have been nice to wrap up or finish off our championship this weekend and have the Island Magic as our standalone round. But yeah, it's part of our round, so we can't really...
Funny part about it is, you know how you're down at Baskerville at Tasmania on the weekend. John's been down there before too. You did Symmons Plains and Baskerville on a weekend just a while ago as well too. So you two can actually swap stories after the
So what do you think of the Baskerville?
Yeah, I had a quick look. I was down there for work. I thought I'll go and have a look at Symmons Plains while I'm down there, and did a lap around there, a sneaky lap, and then went down to Baskerville and had a look at that track. And it looked nice. Yeah, it looked nice and hilly and. Yeah,
well, speaking of nice and hilly, Phillip Island is certainly nice and hilly. As both Garth and Charlie O'Brien said, it's after Bathurst is probably the number 2 circuit in Australia. Yep. Good luck on the weekend. Let's hope that the weather holds and we have much better weather than they had at Sandown last weekend. But for now, John Ippolito, best of luck and thanks for joining us in Pit Lane.
Thanks very much. Thank you.
And we're going to take a break on the program. When we come back, Breanne Peters Band is going to join us for some music, and we're going to wrap up the international scene as well. Don't go away. This is In Pit Lane on Channel 31 Melbourne. We'll be right back.
Get the phone ringing for your business with website development and SEO services from Online Invent. Visit onlineinvent.com.au.
Okay, we're in a break. Let's bring in the band. Just stay with us there. We've got some entertainment. We've got some entertainment coming up, and this is one of the advantages of watching the program being recorded live, because you get to see behind the scenes and you get an extra song from the band. Yes, now the song name is, they're asking me what is the song name. Here we go again.
These two did this last time, ladies and gentlemen. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut the middleman out because
you introduce it, Doc.
No, I'm going. Breanne, you're doing a lovely song, just nice and loud and clear into the microphone for all of us.
My song's called Wrong or Mo.
No, there you go. I don't think we have mics on then. That's the problem.
That's it. Well, whatever the song is, it's going to be great. We won't even try.
We can't do it justice.
We won't even butcher the name, but it'll be on there. Now, if you'd like to see Breanne, she currently teaches at Morton House. It's running through there. I'll get the details. Now, you are appearing at something called Summer Tribalism at the Katani Gardens on the 10th of December between 2 p.m. and 5 p.m. So that's coming up. Well, a couple of months away, so that's all long-term planning.
I've been at the Katani Gardens this year earlier for
yes, I know, and the police have warned you against that. I know. It is a breach of your parole, and you really should stop.
Thank you for telling me about that. I wonder why I've been banned and getting all these letters in the mail to appear in court. Now I understand why. But no, it's beautiful down there at the waterfront. I won't be attending, Breanne, so have a great time anyway. You'll impress everyone on stage.
If you see him, the name is Crime Stoppers on 00497.
Worries me you know the number off by heart.
Okay, we're going to have and if you want to find out from Breanne, they're at on all the Spotify and iTunes, all sorts of things. Okay, so we're ready to go. I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce the name of the song. I just know that it's going to be absolutely beautiful. Ladies and gentlemen, Breanne Peters Band.
Stuck in the same old criticizing thoughts I wanna be, but I'm overthinking. Why am I going around in circles, uncovering the layers of my undersurface. I can feel the energy of what I was, and I don't know the way that I'm heading, but you know, stepping further in the unknown, you gotta do it alone. I'm tired of planning my days and my weeks, so I know that I'm not gonna fit everything. It's the illusion of time that is ticking me off, standing still, but the clock keeps on going tick-tock. I just wanna see the moon shine on your pillow, watch your falling stars as they descend. Closing your eyes and choosing the next flight into the middle of nowhere. Like when there's raindrops on the window, reflecting all the clouds in the sky. Country in the middle of nowhere. I don't know where I am, but I'm not lost. See, I'm on a journey, but there's bumps in the road. Sometimes I think that they're too big to get over. Remember who's come before you. Breathe into your roots, continue what is woven. I'm tired of planning my days and my weeks, so I know that I'm not gonna fit everything. It's the illusion of time that is taking me off, standing still, but the clock keeps on going tick-tock. I just wanna see the moon shine on your pillow, watching falling stars as they descend. Closing your eyes and choosing the next flight into the middle of nowhere. Like when there's raindrops on the window, reflecting all the clouds in the sky. Country in the middle of nowhere. I don't know where I am, but I'm not lost. Do-do-do-do. I don't know where I am, but I'm not lost. On the window, reflecting all the clouds in the sky. Country in the middle of nowhere. I don't know where I am, but I'm not lost.
That was wonderful. Well done. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys and dolls.
Hang around there. We'll get your second song very, very soon. But that was very lovely. And congratulations to all of our RMITV crew as well on camera as well.
They've been brilliant the last few weeks.
Yeah, that looked brilliant. That was fantastic. I enjoyed that. Hey, Stan Sport, if you're watching, try and do that. See how far you get.
He usually saves that for the end of the year, so that's big. He's going to like that. Yeah, actually, you're right.
Welcome back to In Pit Lane. Well, the current international scene, there was no Formula One on the weekend, but there certainly was MotoGP. There was Super GT in Japan and the return of NHRA drag racing. Just some of the things that we're going to talk about in this week's In Pit Lane International Wrap.
Andy Bastianini has beaten Francesco Bagnaia after a final lap pass in a thrilling Aragon MotoGP. Bastianini hit the front on lap 9 when he went under Bagnaia at turn 1, but handed the spot back half a lap later when he ran wide at turn 12. He then retook the lead on the final lap, outbraking Bagnaia at turn 7. Pecco got the better run as they exited the final corner, but came up just 0.04 of a second short as they crossed the line. Alexia Spargro was third. In changing weather conditions, the Nissan Z of Katsuma Shio and Matsunori Takaboshi climbed through the field from 11th on the grid to win the Sugo 300, the latest round of the Super GT series. It was a 1-2 for Nissan with the number 23 car of Ronnie Quintarelli and Tsuga Matsuda in second place. In GT300, it was a win for Toyota, thanks to Hiroki Kato and Yui Satsumi, who took out their first victory of the season in the new Toyota 86. And NHRA drag racing returned after the short post-Nationals break with racing at Maple Grove in the Pep Boys Nationals. And it was a dominant start for John Force Racing to open the countdown to the championship playoffs with a win in top fuel to Austin Prock. Prock drove to his second career win and his first of the season to beat points leader Justin Ashley in the final. In Funny Car, it was another win to Force Racing with points leader Robert Hyatt racing to his 7th win of the season and the 60th of his career against Tim Wilkerson in the final. Erica Endez also continued her dominant run in Pro Stock, avenging a loss to Troy Coughlin in the final round of Seattle with a win here at Maple Grove. And local hero Joey Gladstone jumped back into the points lead in Pro Stock Motorcycle, capping off a memorable home track weekend with a win in the final round against a red lighting Angie Smith. And remember, for breaking news and live motorsport chat, you can join us every Thursday night at 10 p.m. right after In Pit Lane on Channel 31 for our In Pit Lane after show, Full Course Yellow, live. We're on YouTube, Facebook and Twitch.
We still don't know why we're on Twitch. We don't even know what Twitch is, but apparently we're on it, so there you go.
People are asking what it is.
People are asking what it is. So if you're on Twitch, if you're watching us on Twitch anywhere, by all means, tell us all about it. Yeah. Now, coming up next week on the program, as we predicted, as we said in the news, will be Jalen Robotham. He's racing he's got a wild card entry at the Bathurst 1000. It's a big breakthrough for him, a big break in his career, and he'll be joining us to talk about that next week on the program. Now, before we go, apparently there is something bigger, apart from the racing down at Phillip Island, there is something big happening on the local sporting front. And Doc, I mean, you're actually you're into this football stuff, so let's have your tip. Who wins the big one on Saturday?
I've kicked the ball around a few times, maybe blown a whistle on the odd occasion. And look, I'm only just going family heritage, the Bloods. I've got to go South Melbourne. My auntie, bless her soul, recently. Yeah, she'd be flabbergasted if I didn't pick
John, do you have a player in this fight?
Yeah, I'd say the Swans. It'd be nice to see him get up.
And you're not getting away with it. You got knocked out last week. Brett, who do you reckon for the last dance?
I think, as is traditional, whatever happens on the weekend,
come on,
football and Fox Sports will be the winner.
You got splinters.
I have. I couldn't care less.
No, and he probably doesn't. But anyway, he'll still win.
Now, but one thing that there'll be entertainment happening on the weekend, but it won't be as good as the entertainment you're about to hear now. The Breanne Peters Band is joining us, and if you would like to hear from Breanne and the band, then they're on Spotify, they're on Apple Music, they're on YouTube, they're on Instagram. You can go to her website, breannepeters.com.au. Breanne is also currently teaching in Mornington, and they will be appearing soon at the Summer Tribalism event at the Katani Gardens on the 10th of December. That's between 2 p.m. and 5 p.m. But right now they're going to take us out on this week's program with a song that I actually can pronounce this one, and that is Astral Projection. So from all of us here on In Pit Lane, until we see you next week, have a good 4-day break or whatever you're going to do on that. And now here's Breanne Peters and Astral Projection. Good night.
Causing the motion instead of letting it come around. I'm black for protection, got this good vibes I'm giving out. I got the future erupting and comic lessons that be teaching me how to let go of the tension. I'm releasing what I'm told is in myself, no. Still I don't know what's my intention. I'm guessing it's way down in the astrals that protect me, deep down in the fields of my energy, floating in the black hole of my sun. I'm hitting right from the start and I'm becoming what I see, shining like a full moon in Leo, chanting cause it's something only we know. Careful of the letters on our tongues, the air will up in our lungs, our vibration never ever low. No, never ever low. No, we never ever low. Ready for the ascension, the healing begin. I'm trying to make it out of this individualist society, getting caught up in a narrative. I'm just looking for a freer way to live. All I'm trying to do is open up the door to the world of the unknown in another dimension. It's a war, right or wrong. Continue all the trauma. My people know it's stronger. Reviving the whole culture. It doesn't take so long though. Da 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 da. The answers are way down in the answers that project me. Deep down in the fields of my energy, floating in the black hole of my sun. I'm really right from the start and I'm becoming what I see. Shining like a full moon in Leo. Jamming cause it's something only we know. Careful of the letters on our tongues. The air all up in our lungs. Our vibration never ever low. No, we never ever low. No, we never ever low. Tato yanaine moto para que ukatihiate panonitanga etu tato yanaine lost in the motion instead of letting it come around. I'm black for protection, got those good vibes I'm giving.